r/AskReddit. Non-Americans of Reddit, what is the craziest rumor you heard about America that turned out to be true? Sports bars are actually exactly how they're portrayed on TV. Just much less attractive people. Find bars where the beers are like $8 and everyone is generally attractive for some reason. Nickel beer night, you will basically be drinking with everyone you would see at the DMV. Not exactly crazy, but I wanted to test out the stereotype that Americans will talk to anyone, so I sought out a sports bar on my first visit. Ended up having a ton of really fun conversations with total strangers who I'll never talk to ever again. It was great. American, I will speak to anyone about anything. I can't even count the number of times I've randomly started conversations with strangers, become friends within 30 minutes, then never spoken to them again. When I started traveling for work, I'd often find myself in bars or on flights and buses alone, so I'd end up starting a convo so I could have some human interaction, lol. I've had several German friends who were amazed that at house parties everyone actually does drink out of red Solo cups. They thought that was just a weird thing people did in movies and now they think it is a huge conspiracy or something. I'm Finnish and few years back people actually threw US themed parties and the high point of the parties were the red cups and beer pong played with them. Every person I know who owns a set of those cups, like 20 or so, use them only for beer pong. They wash them and use again in the next party. Standard in Finland are those see-through cups you see in festivals. The red cups make every party just slightly better and classier, and add a feel that the host actually put in effort. The honking. I thought it was a movie stereotype, and then I went to New York. It's rare outside of big cities in my opinion. If you honk where I grew up you were getting the stinky from everyone around. Maybe even an exaggerated upturned palm. Not really crazy, but I just learned you guys have like outdoor sirens that get tested somewhat frequently. I've only heard those noises in video games and movies until my friend sent me a clip because I had no idea it actually happened. In the Midwest there are tornadoes. That American kids eat straight sugar. Walked onto the playground and saw kids chugging these long thin sticks. I try and it was just colored sugar, lol. Called them pixie sticks. Oh boy, wait till you find out about fun dips. You have a hard candy stick, so all sugar that you lick, and then dip into colored sugar to make it stick to the sugar stick. Then you lick the sugar powder off the sugar stick. After you finish all the powder, you eat the stick. That Hawaiians really like Spam. Yeah, and there's a perfectly good reason for it too. After Pearl Harbor, the effects of WW2 started in the US, and rationing became a thing. Well, it turns out that it's kind of hard to get fresh rations to an island that imports a lot. So, for meat, they had to make do with Spam. Human ingenuity prevails, and dishes were made. And that's how Hawaii learned to love Spam. That your country is huge. I got off the plane and asked the cab guy how far the hotel was, and he said about 30 miles. I almost had a heart attack. Turns out cabs are cheaper than the UK. I can't remember the price I paid, but I was pleasantly surprised. The UK cabs are like £4 per mile. Also you would get laughed at the taxi for asking to go 30 miles and not taking the train. As a Brit living in America, the amount of pharmaceutical commercials on TV is creepy. Smiling person living life to the fullest. Narrator. Side effects include anal bleeding, gigantism, lupus, skin shedding, and death. Ask your doctor about products today. The Take Me Out to the Ball Game song that's apparently sung at baseball games. Still not entirely sure that guy wasn't taking the piss out of me. Yeah. It's a thing at the 7th inning stretch. Not everyone sings it, but they play it on the PA. You can see into the public toilet cubicles. Female here. I've been in bathrooms where the gap between the stall and door is so big I felt the need to cover it with my purse just to get some privacy. The absolute worst is when some mother brings her grubby-handed son on the bathroom and you see a fucking 8-year-old's eye staring at you from the other side of the door. I remember when I was younger seeing something on an American Sycamore movie, I forget, about cheese that came in some kind of spray can. Or a squeezy tube. And I remember thinking it was a joke. Edit, this is what I've learned. It's called Cheese Whiz or as cheese or some variation. As long as there are Z's in the name it's more like a cheese-based product or cheese-flavored food fluid, both of which sound like something you extract from Assist the movie I saw it in. Might have been a Goofy movie or Blues Brothers. I can't remember, it's mostly an abomination that brings shame to your country, but it might actually be tasty at 3 AM. If you are drunk /high hating yourself / all of the above. 2 ways to make it more enjoyable include spraying on crackers or as part of a Philadelphia cheese steak, or would that make it a cheese steak? Free soft drink refills in restaurants. Like WTH. Restaurants pay an incredibly low amount for soft drinks. Like almost nothing for the syrup they put in the machine. Their profit margin is huge, which is why the price is so low, and why free refills don't cut heavily into their bottom line. That public transport is almost non-existent in many smaller towns, which makes it a necessity for teens to have their own cars 100%. So if you want a job when you're 16, you better live walking distance to your job, or have your parents get you a used car of sorts. I'm gonna throw an edit in here to you city slickers. Not everywhere is bike friendly, especially in growing cities and rural counties, where downtown is along a 55 miles per hour highway without sidewalks or shoulders. That there are many libraries of all kinds in the United States. It's a good feature. Libraries saved my life during my preteens. Even tiny little towns have them. Now we have little libraries in pretty much every neighborhood where you can borrow or take a book and leave ones you read or don't want anymore. They are just like oversized birdhouses with doors filled with donated books. They are on corners or near bus stops. Most of them are filled with trashy romance novels, but every now and then you can find a treasure. They have garbage disposals in their kitchens. That's just so wild to me. Edit, to clarify, I'm from the UK. I'm aware that they're not the same as bins/trash cans, and that they're mainly for food waste and scraps. I'm also delighted that they're called garburators in Canada. It's very popular. That being said, I live in New York City, where it's very uncommon due to a huge amount of older buildings and apartment. People who have garbage disposals here are rare. People of Walmart. One of the nicest people in one of the towns I lived in is pictured on People of Walmart. He's known as Willie the Pimp, or just Mr. Willie. Older gentleman, just likes to dress flashy because it makes people smile to see beautiful things. Before he got too old to drive, you could spot his car by the flower arrangements he attached on the side of the front bumper. Homeowners associations. What the fuck is up with that? The real purpose of HOAs is to maintain a certain aesthetic standard for the neighborhood while the developer tries to sell houses. It also allows the developer to recoup some of the expenses to create or maintain the common areas from the homeowners. HOAs are created to benefit developers and not homeowners. Source, I'm a real estate attorney that has drafted and filed a bunch of HOA declarations for developers have to include the history. HOA started as a way to discriminate. We all agree that this board we elected has to approve everyone who lives here. Apparently, rolling coal is actually a thing. Coal rolling is actually the worst. When I lived in Colorado, passing assholes love to do it to bicyclists. Let me tell you that that's the worst shit ever. Not really a rumor, but your houses are made of mostly air and dry walls. I think that's pretty crazy. For earthquake-prone areas, a wood frame with drywall is much more resilient to shaking than something made of stone or bricks, which can't bend at all and just crumble. Steel frames do have some give, but are often prohibitively expensive for a single-family home. The air and fiberglass batting in the walls makes for a much better insulated home than a brick one as well. That there are security guards, or cops, in the school's halls, and some even have metal detectors at the entrance like that's at airports. It's so useless. They check 1 out of every 20 students that walk through the door in the mornings. And my high school has around 5k students. And there's other entrances that don't have security. That education costs 2 souls. Don't forget an arm, a leg, and your family cow. That you can rack up $100,000 upward in debt easily through student loans. You go to a ginormous facility and stress your ass off for 4 years just to get broke and get a better chance at landing an occupation that can make you not broke. Please like and subscribe for more. This is Laugh with Mims. Goodbye.